The next topic is really interesting, and I'm sure that you will all be interested to learn and you want to know about this because there are lots of debate on this particular topic. Employee Provident Fund. I have been asked different queries by different persons at different time whether this Employee Provident Fund should be a part of CTC or not. Obviously, yes. But the question is whether the employee part and employer part both will be into the CTC or not. Because as you all are aware that in Employee Provident Fund there are two types of contribution. One contribution is done by the company or the employer, and another contribution is done by the employee. In the CTC, I have seen many companies to implement or to include both the contribution, the employer's contribution as well as the employee's contribution, both have been included in the CTC, which is wrong. What is CTC? CTC is the cost spent by the company. So only the company's contribution can be included in the CTC. You cannot include the contribution done by the employee in the CTC structure. So when I am preparing the CTC structure for my company, when I am designing the CTC structure for my company, I can include only the employer contribution in the CTC structure, which is 13% of basic plus DA plus all allowances, except HRA. I repeat, the PF amount is the employer contribution only, which is 13% of the basic plus DA plus all allowances, except HRA. HRA cannot be the part of the CTC. So whatever my receivable components, I need to consider all of them and I need to include 13% of that as my PF. Now you may debate that why 13%, it's written 12% everywhere. No, yes, correct. 12% is the amount which is supposed to be contributed as PF and pension, and there are 1% as admin charges and EDLI charges. We are going to discuss about this in details later, but as of now, please understand the contribution by the employer in the PF segment is 12% plus 1%, that is 13%. So if my annual basic plus DA plus all allowances except HRA is 1 lakh, then my 13% of PF will be 13,000, and that 13,000 will be included in my CTC structure. I repeat, the employee contribution of 12% will not be included in the CTC structure. If any company does that, that will become an illegal and invalid CTC format. When we are talking about the calculation of Employee Provident Fund in the CTC structure, you have to remember one thing, that there is a ceiling limit. What is ceiling? When we are calculating the PF and when you are calculating the PF contribution by the employer in the CTC, the maximum calculation limit is 1,80,000 per year or 15,000 per month. That means the employer contribution of 13% will be calculated maximum on 1,80,000, but not more than that. If my basic plus DA plus all other allowances are more than 1,80,000, then my PF contribution will be calculated not on the higher amount but on 1,80,000 only. Let me give an example. Suppose my basic plus DA plus all other allowances are equal to 3 lakhs. That means I'm supposed to contribute 13% of 3 lakhs, but no. As the ceiling of PF calculation is 1.8 lakhs, my contribution will be calculated not on 3 lakhs but on 1.8 lakhs. That means my maximum PF contribution or the maximum PF contribution by the employer is 13% of 1,80,000, that is 23,400. It will not be calculated on 3 lakhs. Another statutory component that we need to include in our CTC structure is called ESI or Employee State Insurance. This is another option offered by the Government of India for medical treatment benefits or medical insurance benefit. Now, how much is the amount? As in the PF, we have seen that there are two different types of contribution. One is employer part and one is employee part. In ESI also there are two different parts. One is employer contribution and employee contribution. The percentage of employer contribution is 3.25 of the gross salary. So if my gross salary is 1 lakh, for example, then my employer contribution in the CTC structure will be 3.25% of 1 lakh, that is 3,250. So this amount will be included in the CTC. Like PF, the employee contribution or employee part will not be considered, or the employee contribution cannot be included in the CTC for PF and also for ESI. The PF contribution is having a ceiling of 15,000 as we have seen. For ESI also the ceiling is 21,000. So the contribution by the employee or contribution by the employer will be applicable only when your monthly gross salary is less than 21,000 or annual gross salary is less than 2,52,000. Before you take an example of CTC structuring, let us just revisit the components once again. In the CTC structure, there are two segments. One is receivable part and one is non-receivable part. In the receivable, we have seen different components like basic, HRA, LTA, DA, conveyance allowances, etc. And in the non-receivable part, we have seen different components like gratuity, PF, of employer contribution, ESI of employer contribution. Now let us take a complete example how the CTC structure is being designed. We will see two different CTC amount and we will see how the design impact on the entire structure of the CTC. Let us see the entire example. So the first amount of CTC that we are going to discuss is 2,50,000. So we are considering the CTC amount. That means the cost to company, the amount the company has decided is 2,52,000. We are going to divide into two parts as we mentioned, receivable part and non-receivable. In the first part of receivable, let me include the first component, that is basic, and we know that the basic can be anything between 30 to 60%. In our example, I am taking 40% as example. So the basic will be 40% of 2,50,000, that is 1 lakh. Next is HRA. I am considering this particular employee is working in a metro location, and as we know the HRA will be 50% if the work location is a metro and 40% if the work location is a non-metro. So in this particular case, as the work location is considered to be a metro, so the HRA will be 50% of basic. That means 50% of 1 lakh, that is 50,000. Then conveyance allowance, 19,200. As we have told that it is having a link with the income tax, which we are going to discuss later, but mostly the conveyance allowance will be 19,200. LTA, leave travel allowances, it has been considered as 15,000, which does not have any specific formula or percentage. It should be up to the company how much LTA they will offer. The next component will be medical allowances, which is again a fixed component and does not have any specific percentage or norms, but 15,000 generally we include because of linkage with the income tax calculation. Then we can have one more allowances as special allowances, which I have kept as 12,000 in this particular example. So these are the receivable parts that we have included. Now let us talk about the non-receivable part. In the non-receivable part, the first component we have included is gratuity, and we have already discussed that it will be 4.81% of my basic. So in this case, basic is 1,00,000. That means the gratuity will be 4.81% of 1 lakh. That means 4,810. Then we have employer contribution of PF, which is 13% of basic and all other allowances except HRA. So we are going to calculate a gross pay for PF. What is gross pay for PF calculation? Gross pay for PF calculation will be basic plus all other allowances except HRA. So in this example, this gross pay for PF is 1,61,200. So the employer contribution will be 13% of this 1,61,200. That comes to 20,956. Then there will be employer contribution of ESI. Now for calculation purpose, we are going to again calculate gross pay for ESI, which is everything in the basic and all allowances in the receivable parts. So here the amount will be 2,11,200, and we are going to include 3.25% of 2,11,200, that is 6,864 as an employer contribution of ESI. So total non-receivable components are 32,630. So now if you actually do a total calculation for the entire amount, you will see there is an exceptional or there is an excess balance of 6,170, which I need to include somewhere. So I have included one more allowances called attendance allowances. This is the balancing component, and why I have considered attendance allowances as balancing component, because this will not be applicable for PF or ESI calculation. So attendance allowances is the allowances which is exempted from PF or ESI calculation. So I have included attendance allowances as a balancing fact, and this should be done at the end of the calculation. So in this example, I have added 6,170 as a balancing fact, balancing figure. So my total gross salary has become 2,17,370, and the total CTC has become 2,50,000. So this is the structure of a CTC of amount 2,50,000. Let us see one more example, and in this case I am considering the total CTC as 3 lakhs. So as per the last calculation, we have already seen the structuring. We are considering and we are going to take all the same components. So basic in this example I have considered as 45%. So 45% of 3 lakhs, that is 1,35,000. In case of HRA, we are considering this work location as a non-metro. So we have taken 40% of basic. So the HRA has become 40% of 1,35,000, that is 54,000. Conveyance, we have considered the same, which is 19,200. LTA, as we have mentioned, that this does not have any specific formula or rules, that depends on the company policy. So we have considered 20,000 flat for LTA. We have considered 15,000 for the components of medical allowances, and we have taken 10,000 as special allowances. Now we will come to the non-receivable part, where the gratuity is 4.81% of basic. That means it is 6,494. Then employer contribution of PF is to be calculated. Now when I'm calculating the gross pay for PF, which is basic plus all allowances except HRA, we have seen the amount has become 1,99,200. But as we have discussed that the maximum ceiling limit for PF calculation is 1,80,000, but in this particular case the gross pay has become 1,99,200, which is more than 1,80,000. We have to consider 1,80,000 only for PF calculation. So we are not supposed to calculate the PF amount on 1,99,200, but we are supposed to calculate the amount on 1,80,000 only. So 1,80,000 and 30% will come to 23,400. The same way, when we are supposed to calculate the employer contribution for ESI, we have to calculate the gross pay for ESI, which is basic and all other allowances. That has become 2,53,200. And as we know that the maximum ceiling limit for ESI is 2,52,000. In this particular example, the ESI gross has crossed the ceiling limit. So as the ESI gross has crossed the ceiling limit, we are supposed to calculate the ESI not on the actual gross amount but on 2,52,000 only. So we have taken 2,52,000 for calculation, and 3.25% of that has become 8,190. So the total non-receivable part is 38,084. Now if you see, there will be again a balancing amount is required. So again we have included attendance allowances, which is 8,717. So the total CTC has become 3 lakhs. The gross salary has become 2,61,917.